Hello, I'm David Gray, and this is the first in what I plan to be a series of videos that I'm going to be calling The Story Behind the Picture. Over the years, I believe many people have enjoyed the still picture slideshow that I put at the end of each one of my videos, and I personally believe that a lot of those pictures are really good, but there's a select few of them that are the ones that hang throughout my house, and those are the ones that are going to be featured in these videos. In addition, for quite a few of those special images, I actually captured video while I was on the trip during the time that I was actually taking the pictures. So what I thought might be interesting is to put together a series of fairly short videos telling a little bit more of the story behind some of those special pictures. My plan is to start each of the videos with a dialogue section where I set the stage for the picture, explain a little bit about the trip time frame, our mood and mindset, and then any other background information that will help you to understand what I was trying to achieve when I took the picture, and then go into including some of the video clips from the trip itself. And in some cases, I actually even have video of me taking the actual images. And then finally sit down on the computer and I'm going to walk through the technical details of how I took the raw, unprocessed image and then transformed that into the final picture. So with that, I thought I would start these stories with one of my favorite images from all of my backpacking trips, the stream at Bowman Lake Campground, Glacier National Park, July of 2014. This picture right here. A simple stream at what is arguably one of the less exciting and interesting campgrounds in all of Glacier National Park. So what makes this image special to me? Well, a number of things. First, this was my second trip to Glacier, having completed the Great Northern Circle route in July of 2013 with my son Christian. Now on this 2014 hike, we were feeling like Glacier veterans. Our confidence and excitement level was high. Christian had just graduated from high school and was getting ready to head off to college, and this was a great opportunity for a shared adventure before he started the next chapter in his life. In addition, I had really upped my game in terms of my equipment, both video and still equipment. I was carrying a DSLR for the first time with a pro level lens. It was the first time that I had brought a tripod along on the trip, and that was going to enable me to get some of the long time exposure blurred water type effects on the streams, and I was just really excited to see what I could capture in terms of pictures and video on this trip. The stream picture was taken on the very first afternoon of the trip shortly after we arrived at the Bowman Lake Campground. We had arrived in camp and then we walked down to the campsite area itself, selected a spot for our camp, set up camp, and then I went down to the stream to fill our water bottles, and the stream's the primary water source for the camp and actually sits right next to the food preparation area. So as I was filling the water bottles, I actually looked up and I noticed the potential for the shot. And you got to realize that I was actually looking for opportunities for longer exposure, blurred water type image shots. And the picture was actually taken at the very spot where I was collecting the water from. Coincidentally and unknown to me, as I was finalizing the camp setup, Christian had wandered down to the food prep area and he'd actually set up a hammock on the opposite side of the stream from where I was collecting water. And you can actually see the hammock in the background of the picture if you look closely. It's this little blue thing right there. And he also took, while I was collecting water and I didn't even know he was there, he took a GoPro selfie, and I've actually included that in the video clips that we'll show here in a little bit. In regards to the technical details on how I actually took the picture, the final image is a high dynamic range or HDR picture that's really a combination of 7 different still images, all one f-stop apart, that were taken while the camera was mounted on a tripod. The 7 different exposures cover a 7 f-stop range, with the first picture being the normal exposure, followed by 3 underexposed images, and then 3 overexposed images, all separated by 1 f-stop. And then it wasn't until later when I got home, I combined those 7 different pictures on a computer using a software package known as Photomatix Pro. It's an HDR package to create the final image. When taking the picture, I use shutter priority mode on the camera, which allows me to fix the shutter speed, and then I put it in auto bracketing mode to expose 7 different auto bracketed pictures, 1 f-stop apart, and so the camera actually varied the aperture to achieve the exposures that I was looking for. I wasn't sure what shutter speed that I would like the best, so I actually tried 1/4 of a second, 1/2 of a second, and then 1 full second. And it wasn't until I got home later and actually processed the images that I was able to find the one I liked best. And in this particular case, it was a 1-second exposure that gave me the look that I was trying to achieve. With that background, let's take a look at some of the video clips leading up to when the image was actually taken on the trip.
And you ever wonder why we like coming to Glacier? Not a bad morning to start the hike, huh? Made it to the Pole Bridge Mercantile. I need smell-o-vision for this place. at the Bowman Lake Campground backcountry parking lot. And I think that's the start of the trail. Actually, I gotta figure that out. Huckleberry stop. Christian's gonna show, he showed me what huckleberries look like. They are tasty. Well, we made it to the campground. Oh, and the campground is actually down this way. We're here, a number of different camp spots, food prep, so I'm sure Christian's down there looking, looks like 6 sites. Christian's finding spots down here, so let's go see what it looks like. Bowman Lake Head Campground. There's one up there. We'll have to decide what we are. We're here. This is just a brutal climb. It's a ground pass. You know, backpacking, entertainment is a hard thing to come by. So this is tonight's entertainment for Christian and I. It's about the 10th time we've done this because we're so entertained by it. This is the tripod for the camera. Self-assembling. Okay, here we are on the computer, and please bear with me. I've spent plenty of time working on a computer, but never while filming myself at the same time. We'll open up Adobe Lightroom. That's the program that I personally use and enjoy for organizing and sorting through all my pictures and actually even doing most of my editing. But what you're looking at here, these are the raw images from the 2014 Glacier trip. You can see I take most of my pictures in HDR, and the reason that I do, and I'll scroll down to the stream picture here, is no matter what, you always get the exposure for the normal, what I would call the normal exposure. And then on top of that, you get 3 underexposed images and then 3 overexposed images that then you can use to create an HDR image. And you can see that I actually did a couple series of the stream picture because I was playing around with different exposure settings. So the one I ended up using in the end is this number 7229. 7 exposures up to 7235. So now that we know that, I'll minimize this one here. And then this is the program that I use. If you can see it over here where my cursor is, Photomatix Pro. First thing we do in Photomatix is we go into, this is the folder where my raw images were captured. Remember, it was 7229, so we'll go down here. So we'll select 7229, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. So we've got those selected, so then I'll open those up. Takes a few seconds, and again, I'll speed this up. You can see these numbers over here are unreliable, so I don't always trust them. But what I end up doing is go down and set the exposure value spacing at 1, which is what I did. Next option that comes up is merge options. You can say it was handheld with minimal movement. I was holding it really tight. What it's going to do is it's going to auto align all the pictures for you. And if you handheld them, it'll try to line up all the features on all the individual images. Since it was on a tripod, it'll actually minimize the shift that it uses down to a smaller value. The raw conversion options, what do you want, the white balance, the output, and I choose ProPhoto RGB. It's got a wider color range to it than Adobe RGB or some of the other ones that you can choose. And then it'll also actually apply a lens correction for the specific lens that you use. In this case, I was using a Nikkor 20mm f2.8. So then I'll go ahead and do the initial alignment and raw conversion. I'll speed this up as we go through the editing. Okay, and then now that it's merged it to the initial image, what you notice over here on the right side these are all the presets. Basically, they're just different settings that are already established for different types of effects, and we haven't finished the conversion process, so it looks a little rough at this point in time, but you can kind of see what it does. And the one that I chose for I'm not going to go through all of these, there's many of them, but the one that I chose for this particular image, basic black dress. And you can now see what's really the final image. It's got one more step of processing, so it'll clean it up a little bit more, and I'll show you that. But one of the reasons why I chose this preset is the more ethereal, what I would call an ethereal type look that it gives to it, especially if you look in the background and into the trees. And as I stood there on that stream on that day in Glacier National Park, that was the feeling that I had, kind of a Hobbity Woods type feeling. But it almost feels like a haunted or a Robin Wood, Sherwood Forest type feel to it. And this preset, the basic black preset, was the one that gave me kind of that dreamy like look in the background, which is what I really wanted to achieve. So I'll go ahead and finish it up here. This will do the last step where it really just finalizes everything. There you go, the stream at Bowman Lake Campground, Glacier National Park, July 2014.
So there's the first video. Definitely a work in progress as far as I'm concerned, but if anybody has any ideas or criticisms or recommendations or suggestions, please put them in the comments section down below. I look through everything that's there and I respond to most all the comments that you guys put there, and any ideas or recommendations you guys have for future videos I'm going to try to incorporate. But for right now, I probably have another dozen pictures that I want to cover in a video just like this one. But for now you know the story behind the picture. Stream at Bowman Lake Campground, Glacier National Park, July 2014.